Do we have the recording going? Oh, fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to call this work session to order on the camp training. Let's go ahead and start with a roll call.
Desiree, are you going to do that or do you want me to?
I'm printing. It might be a little noisy.
All right, I will go ahead and do a roll call. Felix Rivera.
Present.
Austin Quinn Davidson.
Here.
Jamie Allard.
Excused.
Christopher Constant.
He said here. It was just really soft.
Okay, good. Mr. Dunbar asked to be excused for guard duty. Ms. Kennedy.
Also here, her sound is not connected yet, though.
Okay. Ms. LaFrance.
Here.
Mr. Perez Verdia.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Present.
Mr. Weddleton. And Ms. Salatel. You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to IT, who's going to lead us in this training. If folks want to get in the queue, feel free, put yourself in the chat or text me. With that, I'll turn it over to, I think we have Miss Susie Marshall.
Hello. Welcome. I have my staff expert, Mariah Westmoreland, Mariah will guide you guys through how to use camp. So I'm going to turn it right over to Mariah. You good with this, Mariah?
All right, I am. Hi, everyone. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so really the most complicated part of accessing Teams is just accessing the initial access, which is also still simple. So first thing you're going to do is navigate to portals.muni.org and then go ahead and sign in.
So I just have a quick question while she's doing that. Are we you guys doing this at the same time, or are you just looking for like a quick demo? I just want to make sure we're managing expectations.
So I think most of the members, I think it's going to be up to the members. Some may be joining you and some may be just watching this to learn more.
Okay. Okay, Mariah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just wanted to make sure we're working together. Okay.
Alrighty, let's try that again. And I do have a document that I was going to forward to the attendees today, and it's just a quick overview of everything that I'm doing. All right, so you'll see a couple options in here. You're going to want to select Camp Desktop. Sometimes that shows up as MOA Desktop, but it takes you to the same place. You have a couple options here. VMware Horizon or HTML5 client. You're going to want to select HTML5. All right, so it's going to give you this MOA notice. You click past it and it'll automatically log you in. The first time you log in, you're going to have a little different of an experience. It's going to stay at this welcome spinning wheel for maybe a minute or two, and then it's going to say, we're getting your profile ready. This might take a couple minutes. Once that's done and you've signed in for the first time, that won't happen again, and you'll just have the same experience that you're seeing here.
The log on is the slowest part, y'all. I just wanted to manage that expectation.
Okay, and then we are in. And you'll see it looks just like a regular desktop. It's just virtual and in a browser. And just a few more things I want to cover. When you do use it, if you're going to be opening Word documents or going into email, it does have to activate for the first time, and it knows how to sign you in. 90% of the time, it'll sign you in automatically. But I do recommend opening Word first. All right, and you'll see up here, my name's already in this upper right corner. What you'll see for the first time is it'll have a link to sign in, and that'll actually sign you in automatically, and you'll see your full name populated, and then you know Office is activated. All right, so I'm now going into Internet Explorer. What I've been told is the way you will be accessing assembly documents. If you navigate down here, you'll see assembly documents. And actually, I know Barbara volunteered to walk you through this next part.
Okay, so Mariah and Susie, thank you very much. Before we go much farther, I see that there's something in the chat from Christopher Constance that says, I will be unable to do this because I have no usable password. And Suzanne LaFrance says, mine does not work. So do you have a couple of numbers who they could call to walk them through this afternoon?
Yes, I can send that to them right now. So do you want me to put it in send it to you, Barbara, and you send it to them?
You can put it in the chat if you'd like.
Okay.
And Crystal Kennedy said the same thing.
Okay.
So I will go ahead and tool us around a little bit here. Mariah, is this this is the largest we can get this screen, is that right?
Right, and that's actually a good thing to note. So the camp window will auto size based on the resolution of your desktop. So sometimes it won't fit the whole screen.
So
actually, Madam Clerk, before you go on, so for the folks who maybe this isn't working, so I had difficulties too when I first tried using this, and that's because I was on Firefox, but I believe this works best on Internet Explorer, as that's what the MOA computers use. So I don't know if you guys are using that or not.
Right.
Back to you.
Actually, I'm sorry. In our experience, it usually works best in Chrome, or you can try Edge or Firefox, i.e. it is not necessarily a browser we're recommending. But I recommend Google Chrome.
Perfect.
So I don't know how many of you have been on Muniverse, but there is lots of information here. I would like to point out here is your SAP login. If you need to look at your pay stub or get a W-2, that's here on the left. And then if you go over here to the right, you can see, you can click on this link, and then that'd give you the instructions for getting your W-2. On this drop down right up here, this is pretty amazing. This is all of the departments that have information for municipal employees on Muniverse. So this is just internal information. It's really great. Like if you're trying to contact someone, or if you want to find out the collective bargaining agreements are there, there's tons of information there. But my purpose today is to show you assembly documents. So we're going to scroll down here, and you can see it's in this reference section. And you just need to click on the assembly document link, and then it's going to take you to your page. And so on this page, it goes from assembly agendas to vetoes, A to V. But the first spot is index. but we're going to start here at the second one, which is assembly documents. So if you go to the assembly documents link, you can see this brings up emergency ordinances, information memoranda, ordinances, and resolutions. So all of the documents, each of those types are in those folders. So we're going to look at ordinances, and we're going to go to that folder. Oh. And then in the folder, you can see, fascinatingly, this goes back to 1967. But we're not going to go back that far, but you can if you want. And we're going to look at some things in 2020. Oh, So if we go into 2020, you can see all of the AOs that have been approved are listed in this folder. And so I'm just going to go ahead and we can take a look here at AO 2020 -1, and we want to open this as a Adobe file. And then the difference with this document and some that you may see, like on the agenda, is this one has the approved stamp, the date it was approved. Oops. And then noticeably it says immediate reconsideration failed. So I think that's one of those interesting things, that the difference between the approved documents and just the agenda documents. The other thing that you can see is this document has the signature on it. The signature on this document is on page 6. So you can just get to this page and then you're going to see the signatures on the approved document. So after you found that document, let's just go back. We're going to go back to Muniverse. So this is back to your page. And remember, I told you that we started in the middle because that's if you know the document number. So I suspect that Mr. Weddleton probably knows by heart the AO for the shopping bag ordinance. So if you know that, you can go directly into the assembly documents folder. If you don't know the document number, you want to go to the index. So now we're in the index, and again, you can see the indexes go back to 1975, but we're going to take a look again at the index for 2020. And so I'm going to go into 2020 in the index, and we're going to again look at AOs. So you could look at any type of document you wanted. Now the index is just a Word document. So now we're going to search the Word document, and I'm going to do 2 different searches for you. And first, I want to look for life safety access. And we know there was a life safety access ordinance because you put it on the ballot, but look at that. It isn't coming up. So I'm going to change this. So I did a hyphen there for life safety. And now I'm going to do a slash. And there's the result. So the one thing I want to remind you to do is to be flexible when you're doing your searches, because you never know what the spelling might be in the document. As you can see in this document in the index, it has lots of information about your AO. It has the AM that attached to it. It has the date it was introduced, the public hearing, and that this document was amended and approved on January 28th, and that immediate reconsideration failed. So you could go back, of course, to the assembly document folder and then pull up this document if you wanted it. But I want to show you a different one right now, and that's going to be pawnbrokers. And so now you can see the pawnbrokers AO that's been pulled up. Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to click on it. So with the pawnbroker ordinance, what's important about this one, as you can see, the ordinance AO 2020-4, you can see all the detail about that one, but the action says CAO 2020-4S. And then below that, it shows that AO 2020-4S was introduced on the addendum on February 25th. It had a public hearing on February 25th, and that it was amended and approved on February 25th. If you go back to Muniverse, if we wanted to take a look at this document, now we go back to Muniverse and we're in Internet Explorer, and then we're going to go to the document, the actual documents now, right? Because we're going to pull up that AO. And now we're going to go again to the AO. And now we need to get to 2020 again. Oop. And now we want 4S as amended. And so be sure to note 4 is here, but that wasn't the one that was approved. And it will tell you that if you opened it. But here is the one that was amended and approved. And then, of course, as all of you know, you can scroll through this document and you can see the legislative drafting marks. And you know the difference between whether it was the S or the amendment on the floor based on the legislative drafting marks. So speaking of legislative drafting marks, the two more places, there's 2 more places left that our little tour is going to show you, and that is legislative templates right here. So if you are looking to draft any type of a assembly document, you can go to legislation templates, click on the 2020. We've just updated the documents so the dates are correct. And in this folder, the very first document is the AIM for, that's the AIM for community engagement information if you wanted to complete that. So it just is a little form for you. And then if we take a look back at that folder, sorry, I got out of it. I don't know where I went. Of course, you can also see there's the AO template is right here. And so if you're drafting an ordinance, that's the document you would use. Or if you're drafting a recognition resolution, or your assembly aide is doing that, you have this document right here. And it's the shell for the recognition resolutions. So the last place on this page that I want to show you is the training. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see it. It's the very last item up. It's just not going to let me go down, but you can see it right here. It says assembly member training. And this folder is really cool. We created this 2 years ago, and we've been saving all of the training that the assembly has done for the last 2 years. And Miss Quinn Davidson and Desiree Camacho have been leading that training task force and are keeping all of these records for you in this file. So if, for example, you want to know something about the Open Meetings Act that was talked about at the retreat last year, or if you have an ethics question, or if you're wondering, you know, what was that purchasing training? How do ITBs work or something like that? You can go to this folder and take a look at these documents. So someone at one time told me to save these Alaska Railroad documents. So, and I know that was before you recently. And so the documents in this folder show you that the first one, what in the date is 2018, October 11th. There's a COP letter to O'Leary. The next one on March 9th of 2019, there are several emails saved regarding the railroad issue. And then the last item in the folder is a letter from, let's see if I can move that. Oh, sorry about that. That didn't help. It's a letter from, I think, Murkowski and Young, and it's dated March 6th, 2020. So then the last thing I'll just show you in this training folder is your Robert's Rules of Jeopardy training. And I'm gonna hop into this email here if you're interested. And I'm gonna click on this link. And it's gonna take you to, we'll use Internet Explorer. And it's going to take you to the Robert's Rules of Jeopardy training. And I know that we all had fun with this, but now here's the, if you want to know, the motion made at the end of a meeting is not debatable. And then you can just, as it says, click the space bar for the correct answer. And that is what is the motion to adjourn. And that is the end of the training from me. I'm going to take us back to Muniverse. And again, thanks to OIT for putting up so much amazing information for us. And I'm just wondering if Desiree or Mariah or OIT have anything to add. And I see that Suzanne has a question that how do we get access for assembly aids?
Thanks, Barbara, for walking us through that. So I just want to read Weddleton's comment into the record. So this is great to have access to these AOs. And then Ms. LaFrance's question, how do we request access for assembly aids? That is something that I have talked with the clerk's office about, and it is somewhat complicated, and we are working through all of the facets to make that happen.
And for the assembly members, this is, obviously, I think this is really fun and really fascinating. And so I can't help you with camp and those access issues. But if you do need help doing some research, please give me a call because I think it's fun.
And I actually had a few more things to add to this, just as you're working in camp. You aren't able to, if you're working on your personal computer, you won't be able to copy and paste from that computer into camp or drag and drop documents. Another thing to know is when you're done using camp, the way to sign out is actually to pull out this tab. It's to the far left side and in the middle of the page. Go up to this menu and then select log out.
So Mariah, could you tell them what they need to do if they found that really cool legislative template document? What do they need to do for that?
You mean for sending it to themselves?
Yes.
You do have access to Outlook on here. So you are able to email those to yourself, and that's how you would retrieve documents off of here. Did anyone have any questions or?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. This is Suzanne.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Is it possible to save documents then onto a shared drive within that assembly folder or another folder? Thank you.
Not sure if Susie, you know more about this, but I do believe there's limited access to these shares.
Barbara, is there a spot on the G drive we could point to that they could put documents?
Through the chair, yes, I believe that Desiree is working on that with IT. We are working on creating a location where assembly members could save documents on the G drive.
So when we say on the G drive, just to let you know, so we'd use the file explorer. So do you want to just look at that a little bit, Mariah, just to show them how to get to some? You didn't log off yet, right? Okay. There you go.
All right, so the file explorer is this manila envelope on your taskbar. You would access shares by clicking this caret next to this PC. Expand this a little bit. And you'll see there is a department share here, and that is our G drive. And it sounds like they're creating a location in the G drive.
Desiree, did you want to talk about that request?
Sure. So right now, look at what I am showing you, the clerk folder. And right now, everybody.
Desiree, you're a little bit soft. Can you speak up, please, or get closer to the mic?
Sorry. So you can see that there's the little clerk folder, and essentially what we're trying to do with IT right now is create an assembly or assembly member folder. And it'll probably be a little bit easier. We'll just drop a lot of documents in it, and then people will be able to save into that and do whatever they need to do in that. You'll have full access. So that's something that we're working on right now. I hope to have, actually, I don't have an ETA, but I don't think it'll be terribly long.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. And before I get to Mr. Constant, forgot to mention this earlier when Mr. Weddleton made his comment. So the clerk's office and OIT is working diligently. I believe it's part of the Agenda Evolution project to do, at least as it comes to the AOs and ARs, making and the searchability of them, creating some type of public-facing way for these to be searchable. So that is, I know, something that assembly members have asked for a while, and so that is being worked on as part of that evolution project, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves. Mr. Constant?
Thank you. Is there any problem if I bring a flash drive and take a copy of all those historic AOs and ARs, etc., with me? Because I have chronic problems logging into our system. Passwords seem to change on their own for me, and I just find it very functionless for me. So I'd like to have those. Can I bring in a flash drive?
You're talking about bringing it into the office and we load them up for you?
Take it home.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's up to you, Barbara. You're cool with that? I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it's not, it's public information. So we could, there's a couple of computers down in the Ombudsman's office, and we could certainly set you up on that. I think you'd be surprised how many documents it is. It might not fit on a thumb drive.
Yeah, no, I was thinking definitely a portable drive. I have the big
Okay,
enough. But,
you bet.
And I don't want it on a computer down there, but just to be able to bring home and have for my own reference. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. Was there anything else in the presentation?
No, that was it on my end.
Okay, great. Well,
Mr.
thank you
Chair,
so much. Oh,
Mr.
sure.
Chair, from my end, I would like to say, you know, this system is so cool. And, you know, the clerk's office has worked for years to maintain assembly documents in this absolutely amazing organization. And I would like to give a real shout out to the agenda team that maintains this. That's Heidi and Carissa and Jennifer and Travis and everybody else. So good on them.
Thank you, Barbara. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions or comments other than congratulations and thank you. So with that, I'll go ahead and end this early. And just a point of clarification for the next work session, it's actually a committee meeting. It will be primarily in person, and if folks want to do over the phone, you do have that dial-in access. So I will see you in person for a community meeting, which we haven't done in a while, at 2:10. Thanks, everyone.